So we're on day 3 of this particular trip out to Death Valley, which was the main destination, but there's so much more. One, there's a lot to see still in Death Valley that we haven't seen even after 3 trips there. But today we're just on the east side of the park in Nevada, and we've come to a place called Ash Meadows National Wildlife Refuge.
So this refuge is the place for over 3 dozen living species that are nowhere else in the world.
So plants and animals that are unique here. And there's a place here called Devil's Hole, which we've heard about a few times. We're going to go check that out. There's a cabin here. We'll go to the visitor center, maybe do some hiking. So do some exploration at Ash Meadows.
Here we go.
Located in the Mojave Desert, Ash Meadows National Wildlife Refuge is a unique and diverse ecosystem that is home to over 26 endemic species. And you're going to find species here that are only found in this particular area and nowhere else in the world. It's a great example of conservation efforts and showcases the importance of protecting our natural habitats. So this is a hidden gem that I think we'd put as a must visit for nature lovers and outdoor enthusiasts if you find yourself in this corner of Nevada. So the drive into Ash Meadows, you turn off of the main highway, and then I think for a little bit you find yourself on a more gravel road, and at times as you wander through this place, you're going to also be driving through some dirt roads. It's a pretty vast area, and the way this place works is after you get to the visitor center, you hop in your car and drive to various points throughout the refuge. You'll learn about them in the visitor center. They can help you identify what you can do during your visit, but you are getting in your car, driving from point A to point B, and then doing your exploration. So you can spend hours exploring this refuge. There's hiking trails, and there's just interesting sights that you can see. Each offers a different perspective of the landscape and the inhabitants in the area.
As we always do, we highly recommend visiting the visitor center before you're heading out onto your hike or your drive, wherever you choose to go. It helps you to learn more about the refuge's history, the conservation efforts that they had, and tips for spotting some wildlife. The knowledgeable staff and volunteers, they're very passionate, very helpful, and they'll tell you about the refuge, and they are very, very happy to share with any visitors that come in. The exhibits inside provide great information about the area also, and they help make your visit way more informed. So we do recommend you stop there first. Oh, they were going to build a mini city in 1980. The plans to build a hotel, shopping center, airport, and over 33,000 homes were blocked when somebody stopped at Calvada Lakes. There was almost a Calvada Lakes here.
I think I'd rather have Ash Meadows Refuge than the Calvada Lakes area.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. Okay.
It's just another venture that might have failed. This is forever.
So after we spoke to the folks inside and they pointed us on our way, the first thing we were going to see was just through the back doors of the visitor center, and this was the Crystal Boardwalk. So out the back doors we went, and there's this raised platform that winds around in a loop in the back of the visitor center through a peaceful and stunning desert landscape. It's a great introduction to the area. It's just a short, just under a mile loop walk, and it has a stop at Crystal Spring at its apex.
Walked onto the Boardwalk Overlook over the springs, and it's very windy today, so there's a lot of rippling on top of the water, but every once in a while the wind dies down and you see these tiny, teeny, teeny little fish down there. They're very, very small, but you can see them. They're supposed to be blue. I don't really see the blue, probably because of the conditions, but it's pretty cool to see them. There's a lot of them.
Absolutely no way for them to come out in the video, but they are there, and if you want to see them for yourself, you got to come to Ash Meadows in Nevada to see the little fishies.
So I'm looking through these gigantic telescopic binoculars, whatever they are, and it allows you to see pretty far into the distance to the mountain range that's in front. What you're looking at, I don't know, but it's just fun.
And off we go.
So these bushes are actually mesquite bushes, but they're called screw bean mesquites. They're trees. And they come alive in June. Here, anyway, in this alkali meadow. But we're here in April, so they look dead right now, even though they're not.
Along the walk, you'll see crystal clear pools of water, towering cattails, and bright green reeds. The boardwalk also provides an up-close view of unique plant species, such as the quillwort, which is only found in this area. It's a peaceful and serene experience that's a nice start for your exploration of Ash Meadows.
And it is possible to see one of those rare pupfish that is so well known.
At the spring?
At the spring. They are in there, but we did not see anything because there was wind blowing.
There was a lot of wind, and the wind created this dynamic over the water that made it really difficult to see through it at that location.
Right,
yeah.
and the distance you had away from the water, because you couldn't get down close to the water, was pretty far. So, one of the things that was recommended was to have binoculars.
Mm-hmm. And our next stop at Ash Meadows, we've driven to a place called Devil's Hole.
Devil's Hole, and I see it's a hike up, so you got a little bit of a trail up to the Devil's Hole section.
And what is that Devil's Hole? Devil's
Hole is a deep, deep cavern. It has water in it, and it has the pupfish, a certain variety of pupfish.
Apparently,
it's different from the other variety.
Yeah, apparently they're only found here on Earth.
Yep.
Yep. And I think it's Devil's Hole they don't know how deep it is?
They don't know how deep it is.
Yeah.
At all.
So it's like super deep.
They've tried to measure it, and they have been unsuccessful.
Yeah. So we're going to go check out the hole here at Ash Meadows, see what we see. And the park ranger staffs recommended for us to bring binoculars. They say with binoculars you might be able to actually see the pupfish in the hole. So we've got some that we travel with in the truck. In the truck when we pull the trailer. Devil Hole pupfish are dangerously balanced on the brink of extinction. That's not good. But it's really hard to see the Devil's Hole pupfish. They did surround the entrance with a cage. So you can get better views of the pupfish from Ash Meadows, where we were just at, or from the Point of Rocks Overlook, or from the Crystal Spring, or the Long Street Spring, which is where the cabin is. So I didn't realize where we're at in Nevada, that this is still actually technically Death Valley National Park. I thought it ended kind of where the big sign is when you enter the main part of Death Valley National Park, but apparently it's bigger than I even thought. I did not know that.
Fahrenheit water. They live just above the shallow rock shelf near the cave entrance, a zone critical for pupfish feeding and spawning, only found in Devil's Hole. This rare species is subject to natural high and low cycles. Population fluctuates between 100 and 500 individuals, depending on the seasonal availability of algae and the amount of dissolved oxygen in the water. It was a pretty quick walk up to the actual cavern area. We didn't know which way to head off in the beginning because there was actually two places that had fencing around it.
Yeah.
And one was to the right, but there was this bigger area that was to the left. So we made our way over to this viewing platform, and there was actually scientists there that were doing some kind of experimentation there or whatever they're doing to try to get a count on these very rare fish. And I personally was kind of disappointed because you really can't see anything at all.
It was quite a distance from the viewing platform to the cavern area below. I mean, it probably was at least, 50 feet-ish or so, right?
There's no way you're going to see a fish.
Yeah, the water is just way too far away.
Yeah, these fish are little. They're very small.
The angle is awkward and difficult. So basically, once you get to this viewing platform, you know that this is where Devil's Hole is. You know there's fish there.
You see some water.
Yeah, but you can't see the pupfish from this location.
Right. That's why the volunteer at the visitor center said bring binoculars.
Yeah.
But I don't even think with binoculars you're going to see anything.
Yeah, I think at Devil's Hole itself, it would be really difficult.
Yeah.
Disappointing, I have to say, because they cage you in.
So when you get to the Devil's Hole Overlook, you're on this platform, and between you and the Devil's Hole is this gated structure. So the gate keeps visitors from being able to go down to the hole where the water is. We were told at the visitor center that if you bring binoculars, you might be able to catch a glimpse of the fish. But we're so high up that I think even with binoculars and it's so dark.
Yeah, really strong.
Yeah, Julia, I'm correct. You're not seeing anything, right? Yeah. So we're not seeing anything. Maybe if you bring some higher powered binoculars, you will. We did see some pupfish at the overlook by the visitor center, and we still have one more overlook to go to where we might be able to see some more. But here at Devil's Hole, if the expectation is to see pupfish, not going to happen with the naked eye. Even with binoculars, at least the ones we have, we're not having luck. But it's still an interesting place to check out because there's some interesting ecology that happens here. From the parking area, we did see another structure up the hill on the right-hand side. There's no signage, it's probably nothing, but we're gonna go check it out anyways, just in case it is something. So just like we can't see a whole lot here, you're probably going to see even less, but traveling up a short walk up this hillside past the main Devil's Hole viewpoint, there's another cage-like structure that barricades another entrance into Devil's Hole. Somebody else who was just here was saying that it's an entrance that explorers used, and apparently it's an entrance that was used to enter the cave, that was featured in some either movie or video presentation. So I'm sure if you look up what's online for Devil's Hole, this is where people would have gone in.
The pupfish has been able to survive in this isolated environment for thousands of years, making it a living relic and a testament to the resilience of nature. Scientists estimate that the Devil's Hole pupfish may have been isolated for 10,000 to 20,000 years, longer than any other species in the Death Valley system. And in 1967, The Devil's Hole pupfish were officially designated as an endangered species. The connection between Devil's Hole and Death Valley National Park is very strong, as this underground aquifer that feeds the cavern extends all the way down into Death Valley. Devil's Hole was added to Death Valley National Park back in 1952, and eventually the hole was fenced off after 2 divers drowned in its waters. Visitors can now view Devil's Hole from a fenced viewing platform and learn more about the pupfish history and conservation efforts. My understanding, that was an area where they opened it up, actually, so they could send people down into the caverns to do some investigation.
Yeah, so I think, one of the things to know about the Devil's Hole part of Ash Meadows is it is home to this endangered species, but at that particular location, don't expect to get a glimpse of the pupfish. All right, stay well, little pupfish.
Keep going.
Keep going. You can do it.
Make your eggs.
Thrive. Thrive. After Devil's Hole, back in the car we go, and our next stop in Ash Meadows is a place called the Point of Rocks Boardwalk. Our next stop at Ash Meadows is the Point of Rocks Trail. So this is a boardwalk trail. I believe it's just about 1/3 of a mile, but it traverses through a landscape that is now preserved for the vegetation, for the animals and wildlife that live here. It's now a refuge for them to be able to thrive here. Apparently, past human activity here did create conditions that I believe made some species extinct in the area. But it's about 1/3 of a mile walk, so it's relatively easy, and we are going to go check that out next at Ash Meadows. This boardwalk offers a different perspective of the refuge with views of the vibrant green marshes and crystal clear pools that are also home to unique pupfish. It's a great spot for bird watching with over 300 species of migratory birds that pass through Ash Meadows each year. And as we walked along this boardwalk, we were amazed by the diversity and beauty of the landscape. So we've learned that Ash Meadows was named after the leatherwood ash tree, and we've got one for you right here. So right in front of the camera, there you go. From way back when, during the Death Valley expedition, there was a biological survey conducted in 1891 that identified that these ash trees once flourished in this area, but by 1980, only a few of these ash groves remained. So they've become kind of a rare tree.
Yeah, and that's because with the removal of the mesquite, the thorny mesquite, cattle and burro and all kinds of animals that were brought in from the outside were able to nibble down and destroy the ash seedlings. Well, the little ones that were growing.
Yeah.
They liked it. It was tasty for them.
So now I think with the refuge, it's a habitat to help these ash trees thrive once again.
Yeah.
Yep. So if you come here, hopefully in the future, you can see not only this one, but maybe even more of them. We're at this bridge. There's a stream that runs through here. Julie's already seen a pupfish here. Some other folks have seen a pupfish. So they're here. They're so tiny, so they're hard to see.
Well, it's probably a female because it wasn't really colorful. Of course, the females don't have the color. Why is that?
But the highlight here was stopping at a spring where we saw quite a large number of these blue pupfish.
Yes, it was very exciting. You could sit right next to the spring, and I started looking, and instantly I started seeing these little blue things swimming around, and we stayed there for quite a while because it was just really fascinating. Yeah, very peaceful and neat to see, and we knew that we were looking at a pretty amazing species, so we wanted to take in the moment. And this is why when you go to Ash Meadows, you will want to go to several spots because every place you go offers something different, a different perspective. And this is, I think, based on our experience at least, probably the best place for viewing pupfish. Absolutely.
Look, there they are. Look. They're little blue puffies. Pupfish. There is no way this is going to come out, but you see
the
it?
blue one. Oh my gosh.
You see it?
Yeah.
Look at them. There's so many. Look at the ones on top. They're like guppies or something. You see them?
Yeah. Pointer Rocks Trail is fairly short, third of a mile.
Very windy.
So windy. On a boardwalk path. And it culminates at a place called the Amphitheater, where there's an overlook of the valley below. There's a couple of telescope devices that you can see in the distance. And you've got beautiful views, pretty much 360 degrees.
Yep. Amazing. Absolutely gorgeous.
We did move on though, and there's a cabin that sits in this area also. This has a very interesting history.
But first, you got to make the drive.
You got to drive. The drive was very interesting, and there wasn't a lot of people on this. It was a dirt road. There wasn't a lot of people on this road at all. This road is not recommended for cars. You probably want some high-profile trucks or Jeeps on this road. Overall, it wasn't bad. For us, it was pretty easy with the truck. We reached the cabin. There was a small little parking area there.
This fella, Jack Longstreak, he was a felon. He killed people.
Uh-oh.
The law was after his butt. He had 5 notches on his gun, but he only regretted 1 of those notches. Running from the law, he came here and discovered the Longstreet stream, so he's able to live. The local Indians were here, and he actually spoke their tongue, so he blended in quite well. Nobody knew he was here until somebody came along and wanted to buy the rights to his claim. He sold his claim for $30,000, which was an amazing amount of money at that time. But Jack, he's a smart guy. Jack didn't put his money in the bank. No. Jack was a smart guy because in 1907, the Nevada banks failed. Jack still had his money. Yeah, he lived here from 1889 to 1907.
So Mr. Jack Longstreet apparently had a cabin here, and I guess it still stands. We're going to go check it out. Oh, and by the way, so this is on the Ash Meadows Refuge property area. So if you come to Ash Meadows, you can take a side road and this will take you out here.
He built his cabin here at Ash Meadows to hide from posse fellows, and stones were piled high along one side to help keep his cabin hidden from view.
Jack, he was a smart dude, man. He took his cabin and he found a place where he had these big mounds of rock, and he built his cabin right up against a rock and down below so people couldn't see his cabin from a long ways away. Smart dude.
So he did a really good job of hiding this
Kind
cabin.
of camouflaged by the stones, yeah.
Yeah, so he homesteaded in this area from 1899 till 1907. He was in his 50s when he built the cabin. There is a spring, as we mentioned, adjacent to the cabin that provides water for the wildlife in this refuge area. We were able to get pretty close to the spring. There was a little bit of an overlook made there out of wood. So we got pretty close. There was a lot of reeds and plant life around it, so it was very hard to see it and get up close to it. So there was no pupfish to be seen in this spring. You can't get down close to the water because there's too much
There's a lot of
foliage
growth.
around
Yeah,
it and growth around it, so you can't get close to it. And I don't think they want you to because they put this little overlook up on it. So, but the cabin itself is not the original structure. They do have pictures of the original structure, and that is how they were able to reconstruct this cabin. In 1984, there was a flash flood that just took this cabin down to the ground. It was just rubble. But by these pictures and the history, they were able to rebuild the cabin, and they put it in its proper position, and it was finally completely restored in 2006. The cabin is open for visitors to explore. It provides a glimpse into what life was like in the remote desert area over a century ago. It's a fascinating piece of history that adds another layer to the diverse landscape and experiences at Ash Meadow.
So that concludes our latest adventure. We hope you enjoyed learning about the diverse ecosystem and rich history of Ash Meadows National Wildlife Refuge. And again, this is a great place to add to your list as another thing to do if you do come out to Death Valley National Park. It's about 40 minutes to the east of the park, so it's not a difficult drive, and you do get to see just more beauty of the desert area. Thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button to see our future videos and hit the like button. We appreciate it. Happy traveling, and we hope to see you at the places where we go.